Okay, let's dive right in. We're going to talk about something that pretty much all of us have to deal with: taking charge of our own health in a system that can feel, well, really overwhelming and impersonal sometimes. So let's break down how you can actually do that.
This quote from an 88-year-old patient just hits so hard, doesn't it? It perfectly captures that feeling so many of us have had. You wait for the appointment, you get your, 15 minutes with the doctor, and then you walk out feeling like you're just another number, just a file in a huge computer system. It's this feeling of being anonymous in something that should be so deeply personal. But here's the thing, and it's really good news. That feeling of being powerless, it is not a given. There are real, concrete things you can do to completely change the dynamic of your healthcare experience. And that really brings us to the big question for today. How do you go from being a passive patient, just sort of receiving care, to being an active, engaged partner? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down step by step. First, let's just admit it. The problem is real. It's not all in your head. The healthcare system has some very real, built-in challenges, and they can be especially tough for older adults and the people who care for them. Let's start with a number: 15%. According to the World Health Organization, that's how many adults over 60 are dealing with a mental disorder. And things like depression, they're often completely missed, which means the people who need support the most are often the ones falling through the cracks. And this quote right here, it just nails the caregiver experience. Family members get thrown into this role of coordinating everything, trying to piece together a plan from a system that feels totally fragmented. This duct-taped together network, it puts so much pressure on families that are already completely maxed out. Now, this statistic might just be the most eye-opening of all. Research has shown that the average amount of time a doctor listens before they interrupt a patient is just 11 seconds. 11 seconds. Is it any wonder appointments feel so rushed and unproductive? You barely have time to say what's wrong, let alone have a real conversation about it. So with all that working against you, what can you do? How do you fight back? The answer is all about a fundamental shift in your mindset. It's about going from being a passive patient to becoming an active partner. So let's look at the two mindsets side by side. Over here, you've got the passive patient. They show up unprepared, they wait to be told what to do, and they're often afraid to ask questions. But on the other side, that's the active partner. This person comes prepared. They have their questions ready, they push for clarification, and they are part of the decisions about their own treatment. And the most important part is that you can absolutely choose to make that switch. And making that switch leads to the ultimate goal, which is this idea of shared decision-making. It's not about you telling your doctor what to do, not at all. It's a team effort. It's about combining the doctor's medical knowledge with your own values, your preferences, and what's going on in your life, so you can come up with the best possible treatment plan for you. All right, let's get practical. Changing your mindset is one thing, but you need the right tools to actually make it happen. So this section is all about your proactive toolkit. The real work starts before you even walk out your front door. First, make a list of your top 3 or 4 concerns. That way, you make sure the most important stuff gets talked about. Second, bring all of your medications. A fantastic way to do this is called the brown bag method. And yeah, it's literal. But every single pill, vitamin, and supplement you take into a bag. And finally, bring someone with you. A friend or a family member is a crucial second set of ears to take notes and help you remember everything. Okay, listen up, because if you take one thing away from this, let it be this. Your most powerful tool isn't being difficult or confrontational. It is clarification. You absolutely cannot be a partner in your own care if you don't understand what's being said, period. So during the visit, you have to feel like you have permission to ask for that clarity. Use simple, polite phrases. I'm not familiar with that term. Could you explain it? Or even, could you explain that in simpler terms for me? This doesn't challenge the doctor's authority. It shows you're paying attention. And before you walk out, double check by saying something like, okay, so just to make sure I've got it, the plan is for me to... And it's not over when you walk out the door. Before you leave, make sure you know exactly what your next steps are. Is there a test to schedule? A follow-up visit? What specific symptoms should you be watching out for? And second, keep a record. Start a folder. Ask for copies of your test results, referral letters, all of it. That paper trail is priceless. Now, let's be real. Advocating for yourself can be really hard, especially when you're not feeling well or you're facing a scary diagnosis. And that's exactly why understanding the role of a patient advocate is so important. So what is a patient advocate really? Well, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services put it pretty simply: it's someone who helps you navigate the system. They're your backup in the room. They ask the questions you might forget, they take notes, and they speak up for you when you need it most.
And you should know that advocates aren't one size fits all. Some work right in the hospital, like case managers. Others are focused on specific diagnoses, from groups like the Alzheimer's Association. You can even find advocates who are experts in that maze of insurance and billing, or legal advocates who focus on patient rights. There's a whole world of support out there.
If you ever, for a second, doubt the impact an advocate can have, just read this. This is from that same 88-year-old man from the beginning, and he's talking about his daughter. Twice her observation and advice has saved my wife's life. I mean, it just doesn't get more powerful than that. A good advocate can literally be a lifesaver.
So the big question is, where do you find this kind of help? Let's look at some specific, real resources you can turn to, like right now. This is a great place to start. You can find help through amazing nonprofits like the Patient Advocate Foundation. You can also ask for your hospital's own on-staff advocate. And there are national organizations for specific groups, like the National Council on Aging or the VA's Program for Veterans. And finally, for really practical tools like checklists and worksheets, definitely check out the National Institute on Aging. So let's end on this thought. It's time to stop thinking of yourself as just a patient. You are the CEO of your own health. Your doctors, your specialists, your caregivers, they're your team of expert consultants. And it's your job to prepare, to ask the right questions, and to lead that team to the best possible outcome. So the only question left is, are you ready to take charge?